Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. Today from Hasbro, in their Marvel Legends line, we are featuring Marvel Studios X-Men 97 Magneto. Alright, so this is Magneto as he appears in the upcoming X-Men 97 animated series on Disney+. Previously, we did get another Magneto before this one. Previously, we got this figure right here. This is also from the X-Men 97 animated series. But this is Magneto in his much more evergreen, iconic uniform. I reviewed this figure previously. It's a beautiful, wonderful figure. It's such an upgrade from the earlier version of this costume that we got some years ago that came in the 3-pack with Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. And today we're going to look at this guy right here, which looks to be fantastic. So longtime comic book readers might recognize this costume that Magneto is wearing from this very iconic image from X-Men 200. This was published like a lifetime ago. Many of you younger fans probably weren't even born yet. This was Uncanny X-Men number 200, the double-sized issue. It was written by Chris Claremont and illustrated by John Romita Jr. It was the Trial of Magneto. So, this costume here, whenever I see it, I kind of always associate it as Headmaster Magneto. Once Xavier is no longer at the school, he turns the reins over to Magneto, and he becomes the new headmaster, and he kind of oversees the development of the new mutants. So I always kind of saw this costume, as good guy Magneto. He no longer needs the helmet to protect his thoughts from Professor X. And it's a wonderful looking costume, and I was so surprised when I saw the action figure. And just the idea of this version of Magneto being in the animated series kind of made me giddy. Like all X-Men 97 action figures in the Marvel Legends line, it's packaged on this gorgeous looking card back. Has the X-Men 97 logo, has some of the members in the upper right corner. A beautiful illustration of Magneto. And it's a very striking image. This is Wave 2, which includes Magneto, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, the Goblin Queen, and the Executioner. And there we have Magneto looking all awesome. It looks to be a fantastic figure. You get two different portraits. You get a much more neutral, calm-looking Magneto. And then you get the really, really angry looking Magneto. It's a cool look. The longer hair kind of harkens back to 90s Magneto during the Chris Claremont, Jim Lee era. There is another Marvel Legends figure that came with a helmetless head. And I believe that was the black costumed 2016 relaunch Magneto. And it came with this head right here. Very much inspired by that 90s era. With Magneto having the longer hair. It's a really nice sculpt. The hair is really clean, very crisp. You have a very serious expression of determination on the master of magnetism. I like this head a lot. But it's really cool to see these heads. My first thought when I saw these heads is that this head here, it reminds me so much of Khan Noonien Singh from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Especially with the long hair. It kind of reminds me of Ricardo Montalban from that era. You also get two hands. They're open palms. And it looks to be a fantastic figure. As of this recording, it's March 9th, 2024. Okay, so let's take a look at Magneto up close. Gorgeous looking head sculpt. It's such a nice looking piece. His head, everything about it looks very clean and very smooth. The hair is not overly embellished. The character silhouette, especially the contour lines around the head, it kind of evokes a very different feel of the character. It's kind of like almost regal, very elegant. And I love how his cape kind of has like a scarf that kind of runs under his neck. It looks kind of cool. It's a very unique look. The M is very clean on his uniform. Very sharp edged. The sleeves are nicely done. I appreciate the fact that the sleeves look like they're sculpted on. If you run your finger over it, you could kind of feel the cuff of the sleeve toward the top, and then the very subtle wrinkles and folds over the muscles. I can also appreciate the fact that it's very clean look with a pinless design. And it's really well done. The cape, unfortunately, kind of suffers from the problem I had with other Magneto capes, where it pegs into the back of the figure, right there. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's examine the articulation. So Magneto's head moves left and right, and as you can see, some dust came off of it. Does he look down? Very impressive. Does he look up? If he does, it's hindered by the fact that his hair kind of gets in the way, because it's a longer piece back here, and the hair is a stiffer material. It doesn't have any flex or give to it, so it kind of prevents you from going all the way back to create a flight pose. He does have the butterfly joints, ratcheted arms, bicep swivel. Again, the double pinned elbows, articulated wrists. Don't forget, he does have different hand options. And for me, I do prefer open palms as opposed to the fists. Let's swap those out right now. I kind of feel like the open palms, especially in the manner that these are posed in, it's a little bit more expressive. It gives him a different emotes than just looking angry. It could give him certain poses where he's kind of demonstrative of his powers and abilities. There's the Shakespeare pose. He has an ab crunch, can arch back, swivel at the waist, legs kick up, upper thigh cut, cleanless design for double pinned knees, boots swivel, and articulated toes. Now, the one thing I don't like about the cape is that with the first release of Magneto, the previous one we got a few months ago, the cape was done so much better. Let me grab it real quick. And while we're at it, let's take out some other Magneto figures as well. Alright, so this isn't all the Marvel Legends Magnetos. These are just some of my favorites. One of the absent ones is the white costumed Magneto from the Age of Krakoa. So the previous Magneto that we got a few months ago was this guy right here, which we were looking at a second ago. The cape design on this one... Wait, is it this one? I'm confused again. Yeah, the cape design on this one was well done because the cape was actually affixed to the character. I'm not sure if it was glued on or if it was pegged in, but it doesn't really want to come off in the front. Whereas on the back, it does have that peg that plugs in. And even though pegged into the back, it was such an improvement over the previous one, which we got here. This was from the 3-pack with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And this cape, it just didn't want to stay on. It kind of floated around towards the top. And it was heavy. It didn't really have much flex. And the way it plugged into the back was kind of cumbersome. So I kind of felt like that was always the case with Magneto capes. The last figure seemed to get it right. Even though it kind of detaches every now and then from the back, at least the front remained plugged in. This one I don't mind just because it kind of wraps around his the front of his chest. But I still kind of feel like they could have done a better way, because it does have a tendency to want to float up. You know, the cape feels like it really wants to stay in a position where it's kind of floating upward so it rests on the chest. But that's not always going to be the case, so it does kind of teeter a little bit. I'm sure there's probably going to be a third party that's going to make a wired cloth cape. Aesthetically, it looks really nice. I just kind of have an issue with the way it kind of holds onto the body of the figure. I don't really know how they'd improve upon it, but I kind of felt like the last version kind of hit the nail on the head by, you know, kind of semi-permanently attaching it towards the front of the chest. So even though it doesn't want to stay plugged in the back, at least it stays plugged in on the front, versus some of the other figures where it just kind of just floats around due to the weight. The 2016 Magneto in the black costume from Uncanny X-Men. Again, you know, the cape, I was never happy with the way this one attached. So it just seems like a problem that's always kind of plagued the character or the figure. But I think it's really cool to get this style of costume. If you're a fan of the X-Men, you know, growing up, and if that issue, Uncanny 200, The Trial of Magneto, was a story that left an imprint on you, I think this is a great, wonderful figure that represents that. Granted, it does have the longer hair, which is more reminiscent of 90s era Magneto, but it's a very impressive figure, and it just looks great. It seemed like there's a period of time when we didn't have enough Magneto figures, but nowadays it seems like, you know, there's always a new one around the corner, which I gladly welcome. Magneto's one of my favorite X-Men characters. I never viewed him as a pure villain. He always kind of felt more like an anti-hero who's a complex character, you know, that filled with many layers and a lot of depth. So yeah, you have all these different options, you know. Two of these are kind of the same. But if I had to rank them in order, I want to say this one is probably my favorite, the one we got a few months ago. I am very partial to this costume, so this would probably be my second. Age of Apocalypse Magneto is pretty cool and special. I like the longer hair, and the costume's nice. I kind of wish all the capes were made of a better material. This one's very stiff. You know, some of them don't have any give. But this one I felt was just right. You know, it wasn't too thick. It didn't weigh down the figure as much as some of the other ones, and it just looked a lot smoother and a lot cleaner. But yeah, if you get your hands on this figure, I don't think you'll be disappointed. For me, it's a solid 8.5. I think it's a beautiful piece. Excellent representation of the character. And it just makes me look forward to the new animated series even more. So, alright, with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I will see you at the next one. Alright, later.